Hey guys, Pete here with Chatter. I just wanted to give a tutorial today on how to use our ChatterTools Python package in order to interact with third-party services. So in this demo today, we're actually going to be taking information from a machine that we've connected through Chatter and sending it off to Airtable. So this will be kind of a good, basic demo layout if you want to integrate with an ERP or anything like that. So let's get started. We're going to be in Python. I got VS Code open with a folder here. And there's a couple prerequisites. So number one, we need to install ChatterTools. So we'll do pip3 install ChatterTools. All right. And then we'll install the Airtable library for this. So this will be pip3 install PyAirtable. Okay, perfect. So now we're all set with our two libraries, and we'll create our let's call it main.py, and we need to start by importing ChatterTools as ch, and then import PyAirtable. So now there are a couple things we need. Number one, we need authentication with Chatter and to know what machine we're talking to. And then we need authentication with Airtable. So we'll start with Chatter here. We're going to hop on over here. We're assuming for purposes of this tutorial that you already have an Airtable account and you have a Chatter account. If you need to get your machines connected through Chatter, you just download our connectors and it will start talking to the API. So from there, we're just going to sign into Chatter and go down to settings, and we need to create an API token. So we'll call this Pete's Airtable Demo Token, and we'll just make this expire in a month. We're going to generate a key. It's important to copy it now because you're not going to see this again. And that'll be the first thing we throw in here. So we'll call this Chatter API token. We'll put that in there. Now in production, you want to put these tokens somewhere safe, like an environment file or something like that. But for the purposes of this demo, we're just going to hard code it so it's pretty clear how to use it. And then we need to know what machine we're looking at. So right now, we're going to use this machine right here that's running at the moment, I believe. Yep. Oh no, this is stalled. All right, we'll use this guy here. So we'll just double click on this machine and we will get the ID of it. So this is machine 1025. We'll just say chatter machine ID equals 1025. And then next up is the Airtable stuff. So for Airtable authentication, the first thing you need to do is go into your workspace and create a database structure. So this is where we're putting all the data. I'll just call this Airtable Chatter Demo. And we are going to need a timestamp. So we'll just turn that into a date. And then we want a part count. That's the main thing we're logging. So part count. And we will make that a number, just somewhere in here. Cool. 0 decimal places. Very good. Let's delete this other stuff out of here. So we have part count, and then we have program name, and that'll be a single line text. All right, so we have three things we want to input. We want to pull the data out from Chatter. We want to see if the part count changes, and we want to push it onto this table. So pretty simple here. Timestamp, part count, program name. And the next thing we need to do is figure out the base ID and the table ID for this. So that's actually up in the URL on Airtable. So the base ID is right here in this first part. So we'll call this Airtable base ID, and that's that part. And then Airtable table ID, and that is the second part of the URL here. Copy that over, put that in. Perfect. Okay. And then the last thing we need from Airtable is an actual API token so we can authenticate here. So we're going to go up to Developer Hub, and it will bring us to Personal Access Tokens right here. And we're going to create a token. Just going to call this Chatter Airtable Demo Token. And then we need two scopes. So this basically defines what you can do with this token. And we're going to say we can read records and we can write records. So those two scopes. And then our access is going to be to this table we just created, Airtable Chatter Demo. I'm going to create a token, and same as with the other one, you get this token once. So you just want to copy it and hit done. And don't share this. We'll call this Airtable token. All right. So here we are. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to create our two instances of our API connectors. So the first thing we're going to do is chatter equals ch.client. So the chatter API token. So that's our client. And then we need Airtable. And that'll be Airtable.api Airtable token. Cool. And then the third thing we're going to need here from Airtable is the actual reference to our table. So we'll just say table equals Airtable.table, and then we'll give it the base ID and the table ID as we've defined already. Cool. So now it's time to write our basic logic. So we'll do if name equals main. And we'll initialize one thing here. We're looking for changes on the part count. So we're just going to start part count as none, right? That's a null object. And then we'll get into our loop. So we'll do while true. And the first thing we have to do here is we need to get a machine state. So we'll say machine state equals chatter.machines.get, and then the chatter machine ID .state.get. So this basically follows like our object model. You get a machine and then you get the state from it. So pretty simple. And then we want to get our basically last part count so that we can log the change and behave accordingly if necessary. So last part count equals part count. So we'll save that variable. And then next, we basically need to get the program and the part count. So I'm going to write a helper function here called def get ch data value, and we're going to feed it in a data type, and then we're going to feed it in a state. So from there, basically, this machine state returns a list of a bunch of basically data type. We call them transactions. So you have a data type, a timestamp, and then a value. So we just want to extract the value from that. So we'll just do return next, and then t for t in machine or in state if t.data type equals data type. If not, none, and then value. So we're just returning that. And then we want to get the two things. So we want to get the part count. So part count equals get ch data value, and this will be ch.datatype.partCount, and then the program will be the same thing, ch.datatype.program and machine state. And then we need to write our logic. What do we want to do? So first thing we want to do is we want to print part count as that, and then we want to print the program as that, and then I'll just print a nice little line in there, I guess. And then we actually want to write our logic. So we'll say if last part count is not equal to part count, then we want to write to Airtable. So we'll just do something as simple as table.create, and then we want to give it the object. So this dictionary here needs to correspond to the key value pairs from our Airtable base. So let's pull that up real quick. So we have timestamp, part count, and program name. So we'll do timestamp. There's a little bit of weird formatting here. We're just going to set this to now. So this will be datetime.now.iso format, and then to get it to behave well with Airtable, we need to set time spec to milliseconds, and then we need to add a Z, so it's UTC. I think we should actually do this UTC Now, we have the format in there, and then we need to do an import here. So we'll from datetime import datetime, and while we're at it, we will import time as well. Cool. So now we've got that set up. We have our timestamp. Next thing we need over on the Airtable end is the part count, which will be part count, and then we need the program, just program. And then from that, we'll just write a print wrote one record to Airtable. And then after that, we'll just do a time.sleep for 2 seconds, and this will just run in an infinite loop here. So let's get this set up. I want to show these side by side so we can actually see things start to come into the table here. For some reason, Airtable adds like default records. Let's just delete those so we're all clear. And we'll just run Python 3 main.py. And looks like I've screwed up a little bit. I need to name that program name. Okay. So now we wrote one record, pulled that right off the machine, threw it in there. Part count is 1 at 7:28 p.m. And you see that this thing is looping and it's just waiting for changes. And then as changes come into Chatter, it will write them over to Airtable. So if we actually go to Chatter, we can see this machine running in real time. So it's at one part right now, and looks like it's running cycles. So I'll just go back to this split screen view here, and we'll wait for this part count to increment, and we'll see it come up in Airtable. So we just had the part count increment from 1 to 2, and it says wrote one record to Airtable, and then you see it right here. So that's the basics of basically using ChatterTools to connect to whatever API you want to. In this case, we're taking the Chatter API and we've pulled in an Airtable API, but you can do this with whatever ERP you want. Also, note of caution, don't hard code tokens in, use environment variables, something like that for purposes of this demo. It doesn't matter because we're deleting these as soon as the video is recorded. But yeah, be careful with your API tokens. Obviously manage that in a secure way, and have fun and build cool stuff. Thanks for watching.